Oh, a monkey here, a monkey there, a monkey
Yeah,
everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah, they're popping up all over the place. I'll tell you. I mean, I've got guys at work. You guys, if you guys understand the environment I work in, my blue collar job, I build ambulances for a living. It's a pretty interesting job. I mean, it's doing something that's going out there to that's saving people's lives, et cetera. You know, all that kind of stuff. So there's some reward there, but the guys that I work with, we got 150 employees in the plant I work in. I'm the assembly supervisor, and they are so in the box. I mean, I've been with this place for quite a few years, and uh, just in the last few months. And you know me. I mean, I talk about this kind of stuff all the time, and the guys at work, they make the jokes about me going off to go chase UFOs or whatever. You know, they focus in on the go chase UFOs things for some reason because they get a big kick out of it. You know, they just laugh their ass off. So, but the last few months, I mean, things are changing there where people are actually coming up and talking to me about bizarre dreams they have and actually talking about sensations that they're experiencing and I have seen a real marked change in the attitude of the quote unquote common folk, the people that have had no up to this point real desire to understand anything beyond the box. Their thing is, let's go make money, then go out and get a house and mow the lawn and get married, have kids, party, do all those things. You know, the 3D stuff. But now I'm really seeing a change there, Ramon. It's just I mean, I'm so optimistic about our future, especially now that I'm starting to see that in my own work environment. So those monkeys are waking up.
Speaking of monkeys, I went up to Nico, which is about 3 hours. What's that? 3 hours north northwest of where I live, and I got to see the famous 100th monkeys. The ones, because this was based on the monkeys in Japan. I think they're called Japanese macaques. And I got to see them running around, but I did not give them a potato because if you give them a potato, you better have one for everybody because they're going to chase you down.
Yeah.
So I did not try the experiment to see if he went to wash it.
Do not feed the monkeys, huh?
No, you don't want to do that because they will chase you. But I did see some monkeys go into a store and just take stuff, and the old lady was chasing them out with a broom.
Oh, wild monkeys there?
Yeah, they like come into town and they raid the stores and then they run out.
Nice, nice. Huh.
But with some real news. Um, so in Iceland, you never hear anything about the news in Iceland. And it seems like out of all the countries, Iceland is the one on top of the ball. They did the debt forgiveness, and now there's more Icelandic bankers arrested. I'll read the first paragraph. Iceland's special prosecutors into the banking crisis has confirmed that raids have taken place today and that arrests have been made. The Central Bank of Iceland is among the institutions under investigations. So it seems like a lot of things are really popping off in Iceland. So
Yeah,
I
those guys, they've got a good template there for a good start for sorting out the mess that we're in right now. I mean, the I was so totally impressed when they did that debt forgiveness last year. I was like, oh my God, here we go. This is I mean, I wanted to that's where I wanted to put some kind of focus for that hundredth monkey effect. Let's get that to spread across the world. I mean, that's a excellent first step for sorting out what we have here. I mean, it's the financial situation and the corporate autocracy that we're existing in, and helping that to crumble, that would be an awesome step. I mean, put the funds back in the people's pockets where they can do something with them, get creative, use their divine given abilities to create something that's a benefit for all of us. I mean, when we're given the opportunity to do what we want to do, we create, and we create something that is useful in some form or fashion for somebody else. So, I mean, the divine order is just so out of whack. And, things like what's going on in Iceland is a hell of a nudge for putting it back in line.
Yeah. Speaking of one last thing, and you can go to the Facebook page or you can look for this interview. Let me see if I get her name correctly. Lisa Harrison. She did an interview with a guy named Cobra, and I don't know who he is, but according to him, the Cabal was given a surrender, a kind of how do you call it, Tom?
What do you mean, ultimatum?
Yeah, like an option for surrender, and that they were talking about it because they're according to him, they're kind of feeling like anything they're doing is not working for them anymore, and some of them are supposedly changing because of these new energies. And I think our next guest coming up, which is actually our first guest we ever had, can definitely probably get deeper into this and see if what Cobra is saying has any truth to it.
Yeah. I have to take all that stuff with a grain of salt, because there's so many that are out there that are disinfo artists. There's some really, really wonderful ideas, and things like here a few months ago, who was it that was supposedly arrested? That was reported, so and so was arrested. I can't remember who the heck it was.
Yeah.
Bush, one of the Bushes, was supposedly arrested. What? Come on, he's not arrested. So I got to take all this stuff with a real grain of salt and see if it manifests. If it manifests, then okay, well, I guess you guys weren't talking out your other side.
Well, let's ask our guests. I think.
Yeah. Hey, James Gilliland's with us tonight. He is a veteran of the show, and we are friends with ECETI and all that James is doing. How you doing tonight, James?
And he's the reason why we're here.
Yeah, how you doing?
We're doing really good. So, James, I don't think you need a real introduction. There's so much to talk about, but have you had a chance to listen to this interview?
No, I haven't, but I have actually written some articles on that information. And you remember that old commercial where they had the little old lady and she's saying, "Where's the beef?"
Yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And yeah. And so, I kept seeing them saying Bill Gates was arrested, and then you see the headlines, Bill Gates appears at dinner party, at some benefit or something like this. And then the same thing, you hear Bush is arrested, you hear all these people are arrested, but then you see them walking, freely around the streets. Geithner spills the beans and testifies, against all of them, but he's still cruising around doing what he does, and like unfazed. So, if he turned against these guys, he'd probably be pushing up daisies right now. So, if he did testify against him, he wouldn't be, just going along business as usual. So anyway, you keep hearing these just outlandish claims. My take on it, basically, the energy is coming in, the consciousness and energy, and what's happening on the earth is going to take care of those things, because it's accelerating the action-reaction principle, or karma, and everything is going to be made known. All the prophets have talked about these times. They say that all your iniquities will be shouted from the rooftops, and when everybody becomes telepathic and starts awakening, pretty soon the game is over for the deceivers, and the controllers, and the lies will be up for everybody to see. So, I have a little bit of a different take on that. I think it's inevitable that the powers that were crumble. They're already crumbling right now. They aren't going to get their new world order the way they want it, and there's there's a higher order than theirs that has a different agenda, and it's just not the destiny of the Earth to continue with their shenanigans.
Right. So there's one twist on that whole thing, that their order, them not getting their new world order the way they want it, that I've heard thrown out there, that another one of those things I take with a grain of salt, of the division, of the dimensional division, where the quote unquote good guys go one way and the bad guys go another way. So what do you see there? Do you see anything in that, as far as any grain of truth in that?
Well, basically, I see things a little differently. I've heard a lot of information. This goes back to the 70s with information coming in from Babaji, where he was talking about two worlds and like a bifurcation of worlds. And that was really interesting. I didn't really understand how that could happen at the time. And the further my research went into this, I could actually see how that could happen, and that there would be two different timelines, and those who chose, the downward spiral to continue, business as usual would experience that. And those who chose the upward spiral to live in peace and harmony with each other and the planet and be service oriented would experience that world, like the two worlds would split. And now I see technically how, through modern physics, how that could happen.
Yeah, I look at that quantum physics thing, and instead of seeing the two worlds, I see trillions of worlds spinning off in trillions of different directions.
Exactly, and that's what I tell you. What I believe is that there are going to be as many realities unfolding as there are people, and everybody is creating their own reality. Conscious does create reality, and this is the plane of demonstration. The action-reaction world. So basically, we're all going to be making choices, and all of those choices are going to have consequences. And if you want to do the good or bad thing, or beneficial or detrimental, I don't see either one of those. I see it's all as lessons, and there's reactions to every action. So if you're going to run around wreaking havoc and controlling and dominating people and taking from others and creating pain and suffering and death, then that is going to be your future. That's what you've set yourself up for. It's just, basic karma, 101, so, and, you don't have to be from India to figure that one out. Even Jesus says it, he said two things: as you believe, so it is. And which is one thing, where he's talking about quantum physics, creating your own reality. And, oh God, what was the other? I'm trying to think what it was, but, I guess whatever you mete out is going to come back to you,
what was it?
What you do unto others will come back onto you, So, anyway, Buddha summed it up. He said, a fool in his mischief is like fresh milk. It takes a little while to sour, but as surely as the cart follows the horse that carries it, it will catch up. So it's they're all saying the same thing, basically, no matter what, there's going to be a reaction to your actions, and there's going to be a backlash, and that is the action-reaction time right now is being accelerated. So there's just going to be a huge acceleration of I just call it, they're just opening up a can of instant karma on themselves, and they're not going to be around to see the reap the rewards of their actions that are against humanity and the earth.
Right. The other thing I've noticed about those people is that their aging process is also accelerated.
Yeah. Oh yeah, look at a president. You know, he goes in the office, he may look robust and healthy, and he goes out a gray-haired,
Broken
fried
down.
person. And to me, it's like, you know, you take these wars, you know, these corporate wars that are going on. You know, this is all about money. Basically, it's all about, you know, the war industry and cashing in and you know, population control and things like that. It has nothing to do with God or country. But I can just imagine if I was responsible for, let's say, you know, starting this war in Iraq, you know, where 1.5 million people were suddenly killed and sent off into the ethers. You know, being here on a physical level, having those beings on a soul level throwing nasty grams at you from the astral level would really take its toll. I mean, how could you sleep at night? You would have so many entities stacked up on you that you know, you'd become so dysfunctional. And they say too that there used to be some information that came out about some universal laws that you can never take something from another that's not, or keep what's not yours, you know. So basically, if you take a life, then you're going to lose your life. If you take, you know, life force or energy from somebody or something, you're going to lose that, you know, within yourself. So I just think it's amazing that these brilliant world leaders, controllers, whatever you want to call them, have not figured this out yet. And they haven't figured out, you know, just the basic, you know, laws of karma and the basic, you know, energy exchanges and things like that. And all of their wisdom, you know, they flunked, you know, 101 basic karma.
Right. Well, you know, and there's, you know, I think I understand where they come from on that, because there's the ideas of the positive path and the negative path, and ascension through both those paths. And from what I understand and have intuited, there's ascension on the negative path is limited up to a certain level, but you can get past where we're at here on that negative path. You know, on that complete service to self path, and you know, without the compassion or care for your fellow beings. So you know, I this is just kind of, I'm playing devil's advocate here, I guess. They're looking out there saying, well, you know, I suppose the more I kill, the more I'm going to benefit along my path. The more I destroy, the more I'm going to benefit on my path. More control. You know, I've chosen the dark path. You know, what is it in Star Wars?
In Star Wars.
Yeah.
The dark force.
The thing about that process, I'll tell you my beliefs about that. Is I tried to wrap my head around that, and basically, you may gain some more power over others, but that has nothing to do with ascension, because ascension is, if you know who the source is or what it is, basically it's pure service mode. You know, it doesn't have an ego and there's no polarities in it, and it just serves, and it's pure unconditional love and joy and bliss. And the more you become that, the higher up you go, you know, in that ascension process. And so basically you might be able to step up the ladder in the astral level, on the low astral levels where people are more controlling and manipulating, and they seem to rise up a little bit there, but you're never going to get past the psychic barrier or get in, you know, past the astral levels into the fifth dimension, you know, because there are no polarities there. Right. And in the fifth dimension, you see the creator and everyone and everything. You've transcended all religious and cultural boundaries, and you're just in pure service mode. There's no room for the divisions and againstness and all these other programs that are running on, you know, in the astral level, or you might call it the infrared realm.
Yeah. Well, there's something that it seems every time we mention on the show, it gets cut off. So I'm just letting them know that we're on to you. The Watiko virus, because the last two times we mentioned this on the show, or it just suddenly got cut off. When Lisa Renee was talking about it, she brought it up and she got cut off. So the Watiko virus, what is that exactly from your point of view?
You know what? I just heard the name and I haven't looked into that. We've been so busy here getting the grounds ready and getting ready for the upcoming conference that I've kind of missed, a lot of that stuff
Yeah.
going on, over the internet. So I don't know, you could explain it to me. I'm not sure what it is.
Well, you might know it by different names, but Tom, you could probably explain better than I can. You're more articulate.
It's basically a poison within humanity, that self-destructive poison within humanity, that basically feeds off itself, and it's been posited by Paul Levy. He wrote a book called Watiko. Watiko is actually an Indian name, so. And that's what the Indians have said. This is the Watiko virus, is the insanity of humanity to that self-destructive, the self-destructive ways. And there we go. Elizabeth just gave me the book. It's the greatest epidemic sickness known to humanity. Yeah, so it's
yeah, I've seen it in action. I can guarantee you that. I've seen people that are so self-sabotaging and creating fictitious enemies and just getting caught up in their own pain body that they've lost all rational thinking or common sense, and they end up creating some very psychic harm to their self and their forward evolution.
Yeah.
What about what they call the psychopath, the people who are born without a conscience? Like, for example, if I do something to somebody, I feel bad about it. But these people, they don't have that. So in a way they don't, if they hurt somebody really badly, they don't feel bad at all. There's no guilt involved. And some people believe that they were born this way. They're just born without.
Yeah. Well, there's the thing. I love this. They call it dark ecstasy, and where people actually get off over the pain and suffering of others,
right.
Or that's taken it to the next level. And there are certain beings that really get off on that. It's quite a rush, when you vanquish, somebody, which you call your enemy or whatever. But it's really an unconscious action because, we're really all one, and any pain and suffering caused to another is going to be coming back around again. So, but yeah, there is that type of person out there. There are, it does seem there are people, you look in people's eyes and they will sign an order that will cause the death, or, just look at depleted uranium and things like that. I mean, who in their right mind would allow that to be spread all over the Middle East? That is psychotic in itself. But they saw dollar signs and they saw, hey, this is a way we can just pound them into the ground and punish them in the next generations. So let's do it. And we can get rid of all of our waste. At the same time, it's a win-win situation. All the way around for us, but, they've never looked at the karmic implications of that. And, we all live on the same planet, and that dust is still, moving, the dust from China and Asia and all these other places is settling on us. I mean, it's coming down. A good example. Now, this is going to be a really weird one if you think about it. Okay, let's take Fukushima. There's a good example there. Okay, so we nuked Japan. We dropped a couple nukes on there. We dropped one nuke and we dropped the second nuke just to prove we had another one, basically. They'd already surrendered. There was no need for it. Okay, that in itself was kind of insane. But, they said, okay, well, this would save more lives. We won't have to bring all of our armies and tanks. It's going to save a lot of money. Let's just fly this thing in, drop it, and then come back up and pick up the pieces afterwards. So And a lot of false beliefs about radiation were, that, basically if you just put a newspaper over, you're okay.
Right.
They had things about, oh, if the nuclear bomb goes off, just lay on a bench and put newspapers over you, that'll protect you from the fallout, and things like that. Crawl under your desk, and it doesn't help you much when your whole building's gone, in a big fireball. But it's just things like that were very ignorant, at the time, and just weren't really thought out. But in the long run, you really think about it. So now Fukushima, some really greedy people, controlling people, put these reactors together on fault lines right where a tsunami can hit them, and on top of that, some other even more diabolical people were involved in triggering, those quakes and those other situations, and it made such a mess. But look at the karma involved, and now we're getting nuked. All of that fallout and that stuff coming from Fukushima is coming on our shores right now. We're getting docks and all kinds of debris floating up on Oregon coast right now, and so the fish, are the bluefin tuna is full of radiation now. And the air, the Geiger counters are just going off the scale right now with the fallout from Fukushima. So it's like what goes around comes around. If you look at this on a higher level karmically, you'd go, wow, this is all coming back. We're sitting here in our little suburban homes, paying our taxes, doing all these foreign wars and everything else, and maybe it took that long, but all of a sudden you look at this and you go, well, this is a balancing act that's happening. Now we get to look at what it's like to live under the blanket of radiation and the effects of that and everything else. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways of looking at this. I know you could take the conspiracy program and just say, okay, these guys set some nukes and blew them off, which triggered the quakes, and HAARP was going at it, and they actually wanted a major event to happen to create havoc and create as much pain and suffering as they can on the planet and eliminate as many people as possible. That's definitely an agenda that's being played out right now. Or you can take it up to the next level and go, wow, this is interesting how these same people are involved as before, and now they're taking it to the next level. But there's a karmic reflex going on, like a reaction at the same time.
Yeah. I also wonder, these psychopathic people, I wonder if they're more the embodiment of what's known as the Archon.
Mm-hmm. Well, they definitely are, because I can explain to you how that happens. What happens is that whenever you seek power over others and control and power and wealth at the expense of others, there's always beings that'll step in and give that to you. And what happens is they will start off, they might start off in politics and say, I really want to make a change. I want to do this. And then all of a sudden they go, wow, I need some big bucks if I'm going to get elected. So they have to sell out to a major corporation or something to get on the books, so they can get elected. And then they owe that corporation. So they've got to, kind of do a couple deeds, a payback or whatever. And little by little, they've got to lie and they've got to do some deceptions. And that keeps escalating till every time you lie and deceive others, you're actually, you're lying. You're actually separating yourself, your soul, from the source. And you're creating layers in there. And then pretty soon you're so separate that there's nobody home anymore. And these other beings have taken over. And so these guys actually become, they don't even know it, but they've lost all control, all power, everything. And now they're under the guise of these entities that are on the astral level, that are of a negative nature, you might say.
And they can now be classified as one of those 4%.
Yeah. And so basically they sold their soul, to be the 4% or the 1%, and they've sold out humanity, the earth, they're just not, they're not even connected anymore to one degree or another. It depends on how far they've taken this. But, you know, some have taken it all the way up to just, you know, the murder of innocent people, you know, thousands, if not millions of innocent people. So they're totally disconnected. And you know, if you look on the next level, you'll see some either demonic or kind of reptilian energy with little puppet strings all over them, you know.
So if a person becomes, let's say a being becomes, for lack of a different word, possessed by all these different entities, and these entities are pulling all these strings, does the primary or the initial soul bear the karma?
Basically, it's kind of interesting. It depends on what level we're talking about, because we have our whole and healthy etheric self, our perfect self, the perfect incarnation, and then below that is the astral level where all this crazy crap happens. And to become whole, you've got to clean that up, you know, because we're really here to bring heaven to earth. You know, we're not here to take off and run away. And so we've got to align all of our bodies with the source. And so basically, it depends on, we're getting into semantics here, you know, on what is the soul. And in the soul, is there two aspects of the soul, you know, the whole and healthy perfect self, and then the distorted version. Or there's a lot of belief systems around that. But what I see is that basically we need to become channels of the source itself. I mean, we have the ability to channel the love and joy and power of the source itself through us. That's a God-given right. Or we can let something else come through us, you know,
Right.
which unfortunately a lot of people are doing.
Yeah. You know, I just find it quite amazing that I forgot who said this quote. Let me see if I get it straight. It's not. Oh, I think it was Gandhi. It's the worst thing. It's not the people that do all the evil things. It's the people who stand by and do nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, exactly. You know, you're actually giving it support, you know, by, you know, and some people are actually willing participants in one way or another in a very evil system, you know, and they've deceived themselves because, you know, they're dependent on it. They have a paycheck or something coming from it, and whoever they're working for might be doing just heinous crimes against humanity and the earth in one way or the other, you know, building all these war toys or you know, just destroying the earth and polluting and things like that. So it's what's that old they said, evil flourishes when good men do nothing. That's another quote. So, you know, there's an old saying too, is that if a man does not stand on his rights, he has none. You know, if you don't stand up for your rights, you don't have any.
Yeah.
And so it is important that we do need to make a stand right now more than ever. We need to make a stand on this and start speaking our truth and just say, you know what, you know, forgive yourself, forgive others, but make a stand on what is right action and right thinking, and you know, and go from there and start being brutally honest with ourselves.
Yeah, it's walking in that integrity and having the courage to live that integrity within yourself.
Exactly. You know, and it's really tough walking that line because, you know, if we're carrying a lot of old wounds and traumas and we're operating out of our pain body, we can justify any behavior whatsoever. And it's amazing. And we can project that on anybody and carry out whatever we want. And that's happening. But we need to get back to the basics. I love what this Lama that I study with said. He said, the reason there's so few Christed masters on the planet is because it's so damn simple.
Yeah.
And he said, just focus on love and joy and bliss until you become it. You know, first you have to have a real image of the creator, of what it really is. And it's not a little old man with a beard. It's not a woman. It's neither. It's beyond that. And it's more of a consciousness and an energy. And in my experience, in my own near-death experience, I experienced it as this golden white light that was just the most unconditionally loving, joyous, blissful energy you could imagine. It was beyond anything you could imagine. It didn't have an ego. It couldn't judge. And from what I understand, there's levels even beyond that, which are almost incomprehensible. But I just have a hard time. I just think of that and try to merge with that and become that, and with every breath as much as I can. And I have my moments like everybody else, but I don't beat myself up over it or feel guilty about it or anything else. I just, I gain the wisdom from the experience and move on and just say, well, I could have done that one a little better, or
Right.
or things like that. I say, okay, how can I do this better?
Yeah, I'm not trying to stay stuck on the archons, but I think it's important to address and learn who and what they are. And have you seen the movie John Carter?
No, I haven't seen it, but I agree with you. I think now more than ever that this information is so important because, right now there are so many people out there that are, they're giving everybody these feel-good messages. Don't worry, everything is going to be done for you. Sit back and relax. It's like, and they're taking away all personal responsibility and lulling people into a false sense of security by telling them everything is going to be done for them and things like that. And that's one program I'm seeing that actually is inspired by this group. And whatever people go, well, that's the Illuminati program. Well, who are the Illuminati, governed by, and who do they do their rituals to? They're actually operating, in conjunction with these darker forces, despite, their image of themselves as these enlightened God beings that can wreak havoc on everybody if they want. But, basically, it's very important that anytime you open, even in meditation, anything, any place you go, learn how to clear out any unseen negative influences, create a sacred space. Anybody will tell you, if you go to India and you connect with these real masters, the enlightened ones, not the money makers, but they're going to tell you, they're going to talk about this, and they're going to say, you need to create a sacred space, you need to create a temple, you need to watch what you eat, watch what you think, no drugs. They'll say, you'll come to them and say, well, I've been smoking pot and I've been doing this, and they'll go, well, come back in 40 days. So anyway, if you're really serious and you're on this path and you're going to walk this path, you really have to do it in the most clean, natural way possible. Because there are a lot of drugs out there you can take, and some are beneficial because people that are really stuck, and they just can't get over their childhood or things like that, they do have some beneficial means, but ultimately you don't need them. You can do all this naturally and spiritually, if you have the proper training. And when you do it that way, you have total control of the situation, that you're not being like blasted into the astral levels where you start creating your own reality instantly and carry all your baggage with you. I mean, that's where you're going to have a real negative, crazy experience.
I know somebody who for years and years and years did a daily personal practice and was a form of clearing within themselves, and they got to a point where, I mean, they were communicating, they were having, very, very amazing communication with higher self, guides, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what appeared as higher self, guides, et cetera, et cetera. And the information that she was receiving continued to be, was reinforcing to her and supportive of her. But it became a situation where there would be these subtle things that were snuck in with all this. And this happened, this happened over years. I mean, this influence began at one point, and it was all honky-dory and wonderful and beautiful for years before this other negative aspect of this started to enforce itself, started to insert these negative qualities and these negative destructive, self-destructive properties into what she was receiving. And it slowly took her to a point where she just was not a very pleasant person to be around. And she through all this, she continued her practices and thought that she was fully in her right, fully in the light, until she came to a point where she had an intervention with a master. And the master was able to show her exactly what it was that she was experiencing, and was able to help her work through it and clear it. And it was what a humbling experience for her. Just and an amazing transformation when this came through. The point I'm making here is that like you said, James, you have to be really, really diligent with the way you go about your practices to when you start bringing these things in, because that level of discernment has to be so high, and you have to have that you have to get the validation in some form or fashion that I'm lacking words now. I think you get my point.
I know what you're talking about. It's real important to realize that there are faker spirits out there, and they will come in and they'll tell you, I'm Jesus, or I'm, some other master, or things like that. And there are certain safeguards that you need to go by if you're going to be dealing with these beings. Okay, one of the things is that basically there's an old saying, by their fruits you'll know them. And the faker spirits, what they do is they use flattery. They'll tell you that you're the chosen one. So they're gonna prey on your ego, and they're gonna create separation or division. And the answer to that is like, everybody is chosen. We're all equal here, and not getting into that I'm the chosen one, or I'm the one with this special gift or destiny or things like that. There are gifts and destinies, and the chosen ones are those who choose to open those gifts and to step up to their destinies. But anytime you hear the constant flattery or the faker stuff or the separation game, which elevates you above another or puts you out of service mode into self-service, it's time to really question that connection. And at any time you can break that connection and start, working with the higher beings. But there's an old saying, the closer you get to nirvana, the more the demons are going to rear their ugly heads. And they do. They come up and they'll test you, and they'll do all they can, to throw a monkey wrench into your process. I know for me, one test I had a being come in and would not let me back into my body, and I had to battle with him all night until about 6 a.m. to get rid of this guy. And at the end, and I felt this incredible power, and I could do all these things and everything else. And I go, whoa, wait a second. There's a hook here. There's something not right with this energy. And as soon as I questioned it, like, I was out, it's like, and so, I had quite a battle. And I was just talking about this story the other day to somebody. And so anyway, during that battle, to make a long story short, I finally got back into my body, and I said, this is my body. This is my consciousness. This is my body. These are gifts from God. And I am, I am the sole occupant here, basically, and called on all the higher masters to kick this being out. And after the experience, what happened was really interesting. I was to be honest with you, I was pretty pissed off about that. I thought I had protection, and I thought these other masters were going to step in and take care of this and everything else. And so I was kind of reading them the riot act, like, what the heck is going on? What was that about? And I hear I hear this message that said, "You did well." And I went, and I go, "What do you mean I did well?" I go, that was like unbelievable. I mean, that was like a life and death struggle, and so I heard they said again, they said, well, they said you needed to go through that. That was an initiation, and so I listened to them more, and they said, if you hadn't gone through that, you wouldn't understand the dark side, and you wouldn't understand who they are, how powerful they are, and you have to go through this to, after this, you're going to know they're there, you're going to know they're real, and you're going to know their tricks, and so it was true, and I was on a beach in Santa Cruz, and I was meditating and asking them, and say, I really need some help here, and I want some solid proof that I'm on the right track and things like that. Well, I come out of the meditation, and I look to the left, and there's nothing on this beach. I look to the right, just sand. I mean, nothing. No, I think there was a piece of seaweed, and that was about it. And sitting right in front of me is this perfect heart-shaped stone that manifested, and I have it to this day. And I told him I wanted solid proof, and then I got back into the house, and I showed it to a friend of mine, Tom Dongo, who's a clairvoyant and a remote viewer, all that stuff at the time, and he looked at that, and I didn't say a word to him, and he said Jesus manifested that for you. You wanted solid proof, and my jaw just dropped, and so I had to own it that there is a light and a dark side. There is a struggle, for people's souls, or whatever, or bodies, you might say, going on down here, and we always have the choice as to which path we take.
So I hear standing in the sovereignty. Out of that, I picked up as a huge component of being able to use that discernment effectively is having that sovereign state of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is really important to realize that, and that's the same thing we're all being tested by right now, by all the systems and all the checks and balances and the powers that be. Is we're all being tested to the limit right now on, okay, are we going to acquiesce to this nonsense? Or are we going to stand up and say, hey, this doesn't work for me?
Right.
I don't agree with it. I'm sorry. I have inalienable rights, and those rights are given to me by God. They're even beyond the Constitution. And are you going to respect those rights? If not, dismiss yourself, recuse yourself from this situation.
There's an excellent example of as above, so below, right there. What we're going through spiritually in our ascension process, if you want to call it that, as our growth process, we're going through sociologically also.
Yeah, it's happening on every level, and that's what all of this Occupy and everything else is happening, where people are awakening and they're standing up and they're saying, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be a slave anymore. I'm not going to participate in all the wars and all the death and destruction and the destruction of the environment and all these other things that are going on. And they're starting to wake up and stand up, and they're realizing too is that they have to. It's not a matter of really choice right now. We always have free will, but right now, if you are choosing to stay on this planet, you better get with the program, because the planet's ascending and she's going to the next level, and we have to match that frequency. And see, that's the problem with the New World Order, boys, is that the higher frequencies are love and joy and bliss and service to humanity, the earth. That's the connection. And the lower frequencies are the, you know, the separation game of greed and selfishness and againstness and all those other, you know, programs that they're running. So basically they are not going to be frequency specific to the earth and where she's going and this huge event that's happening. So, you know, regardless of how much money they have, how many guards they have, you know, how many underground facilities they have, none of that's going to matter, because, you know, wherever they go, there they are. And this is between them and their souls, and the source is connected to the soul. So basically what's happening is that we are being invaded by our own God self. You might say our own souls are stepping up and coming in, and we're moving into a real sacred space in space, you might say, where it's a highly energized place in space that we're moving into. We're moving into an alignment with the galactic plane as well, which is incredible magnetic fields are pressing in on the earth. That the sun is just going ballistic.
Yeah.
You know, all of that is, you know, equates to a rise in frequency, and whatever you want to call it. You know, whenever you introduce a huge influx of energy, which is what we're experiencing, you know, through the science of semantics, you can watch that. You're going to have, every time you get a burst, like a huge solar flare, you're going to have some chaos, you know, and then everything's going to have to rise up to the occasion and match it, and through sympathetic resonance. So you're going to have to, so we're going to go through stages of chaos and then equilibrium, chaos and equilibrium, and that's increasing exponentially.
It's growing pains. You know,
Yeah.
it's you know, I really see that as growing pains for all of us. I mean, you know, and there is a you know, that judge not lest you be judged statement, that, you know, that is having more and more impact on me as far as the way I'm looking at things. Is, you know, I see these things happening out in the world, you know, that I, Tom, the ego mind, the third dimensional being, look out and say, oh, that's bad. Then on the other hand, you know, I look at that love thy enemy thing, and I look at the other side of the sword at what's happening from the things that they're doing, and I go, well, this might be the nudge that Joe Blow needed to actually break through the ice and start seeking for, you know, understanding and you know, life. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know.
I always look at something. I used to see things, you know, as good or bad, and now I go, well, that's a process. You know.
Yeah.
You know, there's one of those processes going on. You know, it's like.
Right.
And that's what, you know, everybody's in process right now. It's like, you know, when we open up the conference, we talk about that. We said, you know, welcome to the vortex. Get ready for your process. If you're here 3 days, you know, you're going to have to face some things. Things are going to come up for you, and you're going to be lifted into high states of exaltation and love and joy and bliss. But when that energy comes in, you're going to have to deal with the baggage, you know, that you're going to have to let go of to maintain that space. So, you know, watch your neighbor, talk to your neighbor, help them with the process. You know, we're all in this together. And if somebody needs help them out, you know, listen to them, help them. You know, that's what this is all about.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of that, we're nearing the top of the hour. Why don't you tell us about the conference coming up? Oh, actually, you know, James, this is airing during the conference, so
Yeah.
yeah,
It'll
we
probably
might.
be too late for that one.
So, anyways, we've got that coming up, and
So reach into your crystal ball and tell us what's happening at the conference right now as this airs.
As this airs. What time does it air?
Well, as soon as I post it, I think
Okay.
it'll be up at about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably be at 8 o'clock in the morning. I will probably be at the getting a cup of coffee and eating some delicious eggs and whatever else they have to offer there, and talking to whoever comes by. and then showing them my badge that says nobody.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So, and diverting any of their problems to somebody else,
Yeah.
basically.
So
So
you've been doing some film work here in the last year. What do you got going on there?
right now we have, we're just basically getting ready for the conference. We're getting ready for the. I did a bunch of YouTube things and things like that, but we've got the Contact has begun. The movie has just been all re-edited, and that's going to be released again. So that's a new release, and now it's really compact, and it has a really powerful story, and it's one of those things. If anybody watches there and go, whoa, it's real concise and has a real strong message. So that's one thing that is being re-released. We've got a lot of interviews and that I'm doing with different people, different, even some TV series and things like that we're working on. But, we have so many irons in the fire. Some of them I can't really talk about until they get a little more solid,
Right.
But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going, and one of the main things we're doing is walking our talk here, and we're part of that movement right now, and we're having our challenges as well. So we've had 5 court cases, with the land here where people are trying to stop, just a couple people in the county are doing all they can to stop us from allowing people to come to the ranch and see the ships and do any of the spiritual practices we do here, counseling and things like that. So we're having to deal with that, and this is our 5th go, and actually it's the day after the conference, July 3rd, believe it or not, and then 4th of July is the next day, which is interesting. It's on the eve of independence that we're going in there. So we'll see what's happening, but so far we've had 5 rounds and come out of it unscathed, and this 4 rounds, and this is the 5th, basically. But I just do not see, although I've just seen just major corruption in the courts over and over again, and some real raw deals handed out, even in my own life. I don't see how they have anything to stand on right now.
Yeah.
There's been so many procedural errors. 2 judges have dismissed themselves, have erred, have made some serious errors. The prosecuting attorney quit, and now they're trying to find somebody else to go after it. It's just an ongoing, just a hassle. Basically, that's what it's for. It's just to create more hassle, more duress, and divert your energies in a different direction.
Yeah.
But it's coming to a close, and it's basically just standing up for our inalienable rights. Our God-given rights. I went to a city council meeting for this thing, and they point blank. I asked them. I said, "Are you saying we have no right to privacy and that we have no right to practice our spiritual beliefs on my own private ranch? And you're saying that we don't have a right to assembly and freedom of speech?" And they actually said yes.
Wow.
And they said, and just blatantly, yes. And then one of the city council members had to recuse himself because he was bragging how he was going to shut down the ranch and spread a lot of malicious gossip that wasn't true. It's just been ongoing from there. That's where it started, and they've been trying to take us down ever since then. But it's the classic dark and light scenario, and ignorance versus service. It's like there's just a lot of little Napoleon complex people that are running the show, and they really have forgotten their oaths and forgotten about serving humanity, the earth. It's all about winning and egos and control over others, and there's just no integrity in it left. There's no service or integrity left in this system. But You know,
So
still there are laws, and if you stand on those laws, you know, you can
yeah,
get through
yeah,
things.
yeah. So you got anything else coming up this summer?
We're kind of holding off a little bit to see where this goes. You know, once this is all down, especially after the court case is finished and the conference is over, I'm probably going to go on a much needed vacation. I'm not sure where. I might even go down to Mexico and go to Palenque, or I'm having visions about Palenque where these golden beings keep calling me there. So I'm really not sure. I'm just going to play it by ear. You know, I'm going to continue to do the transpersonal release sessions and the counselings, and also be doing other work down there. I go down to a couple little places. I'm not even going to talk about them on the air because I don't want anybody to know I'm there.
All right.
But yeah, because it follows me. I'm walking down these little towns in Mexico. Are you James Gilliland? I go, oh my God, you know, it's like, you know, I felt like saying, no, I'm his brother, you know. But people mistake me for his brother all the time, so it's kind of good. But anyway, it's I go down there for R&R, but every time I go down there, it's strange. There's the first day there last time. It's a little coastal village. And the first day there, as soon as I got on the beach, I go, oh, I can just relax and just lay on the beach and go for a walk and do nothing. I hear this, help, you know, and I look out and here's this woman trying to pull this guy in who was blue. I mean, he was drowned basically. And so I had to pull him in and got him started up again. I really wanted to talk to him because obviously he had a near-death experience, and he was a psychologist too. So you know, there's some purpose for good in that one, I'm sure. But you know, it was just ongoing there. But I was teaching a lot of the kids classes down there, and basic Yigong classes and things like that. And
right.
And you know, I left the practices with some other teachers there, and they're continuing them. So
Nice.
So
Nice.
and I end up doing a lot of counseling when I'm down there. So it's you can't stop serving. You know, it's
Right.
really hard while
Right.
you're down there. But sometimes it's a place I can go, and nobody really knows me down there other than, you know, a few people and the people that take the classes and things. And I kind of combine, you know, the teachings with vacation and go for long walks on the beach and the jungles and things like that. And nobody knows me.
Nice. Okay, well, I want to get into some of the energies that are coming in here in the next segment, and I think there's definitely a lot to talk about there. So I want to thank everybody for listening to this first hour, and we will see you in the members section. Condemnation without investigation, the height of ignorance.
The love you deny is the pain you carry.
All right, we'll see you guys in hour 2.